criminals and I'm not in it for like the normal police stuff.
Well, Pineapple, I will say that dream dice in the dream realm are kind of like collectibles. So there's 1 of 5, of course, dice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So finicky like that. There are 5 outcomes for what it might be when I collect all the dice. But we are collecting the skills along the way.
Mm-hmm.
An epic adventure in JRPG style in the dream realm. Big fan.
I'm so excited. So I want to thank everyone who has joined us today. We are here as a call-in service, and we would like to encourage anyone who's listening today who, when I ask them about dream crime, if you feel a dream bubbling up to the surface of your mind, that is the dream that we need to hear. And I want to encourage anyone with a dream to call into our show right now. And we will absolutely help you solve your dream crimes, or even lesser psychological woes, if a crime has not occurred. Usually a crime occurs. Dream crime is the most prevalent type of crime. It's not property crime, it's dream crime.
Sometimes you are your own worst dream criminal, you know?
Yeah.
It's no surprise to me. I am my own worst dream.
Well, most notorious. Worst in the way that you're really good at it. So, like, because it's a bad thing, you're, like, really bad, but you're really good at the bad thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what they teach us in Police Academy, how to interpret what people are telling us. Yeah. That's one of the big things to unlearn.
Yes, I'm just so happy that I could come out. Oh, we do have a caller.
We have a caller. Welcome, caller, to our show. I can see the name that is written there is Annika. Is Annika your name?
Annika is my name.
Welcome.
Maybe should have tried to conceal my identity, but now we're out here and we're going with Annika.
With an identity like that, why would you want to conceal it? Am I right?
That's fair. That is fair.
Yes, only if you perhaps had to use someone else's computer or StreamYards to get in. Perhaps you're trapped in a dream right now and you had to like sneak the iPhone out of the pocket of the dream criminals who have you tied up to the railroad and the train is coming and then you were able to sign in and that person's name is Annika.
Listen,
I'm glad that your name is Annika.
Very thankfully, I have checked no to all those things. As you were going through, I was going through my mental list to make sure I hadn't done any of those things.
It's important.
If worse, you can always go and dream witness protection.
Yes.
But I'm
true.
Happy, Annika, that you have called us today. Annika, do you have a dream?
I do have a dream. I normally don't really remember. I have vivid dreams, but then I don't remember them. But this one was so disturbing that I had to write it down so that I would remember it going forward.
One of those,
so,
okay.
In this dream, my brother, who is not an artistic person, started making like paper mache sculptures in our backyard, and he had a YouTube channel about it.
Mm-hmm.
Annika, you froze. Annika, I think these airwaves have been taken over.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're back in action.
Am I back?
You're back.
Okay.
You're back.
Right.
Last we heard, your brother had a YouTube channel about the plaster sculptures being created in your backyard.
And so they were like humanoid, but not really human.
Mm-hmm.
So then one day I discovered that what my brother had been doing was murdering people and then putting their bodies into the paper mache sculptures in our backyard.
God.
A classic crime. Classic.
A classic crime. And he
you
was
see it all
documenting
the time
all
in
of
the
this.
corporeal realm. Like 9 out of 10 statues have a human inside.
That is now my fear.
Yeah.
So
it's terrifying.
His YouTube channel was documenting all of this. So he was documenting his very illegal crimes on this YouTube channel. And so he came to me panicked and was like, hey, I have this human head that is covered, the face is covered in paper mache. I need you, like, I need to get rid of it. So I need you to do something with it. And I, like, being a supportive sister, was like, sure, I'll do it in the heat of the moment. But then later I was like, what the hell do I do with a paper mache covered dead head? And then later I was thinking about it. I was like, first of all, he's putting this on YouTube so everyone can see it. And second of all, paper mache definitely holds like fingerprints and hair. So they're definitely going to figure out who's killing people and who's helping them. And the other distinct thing I remember from the dream is that, so I took this head and I hid it in our garage. And I was very worried that my mother was going to find it. And the other thing I remember from the dream is that my mother really liked these statues, but she didn't know that there were dead bodies inside of them. And so it was basically a panic dream about, what do I do now that I know there are dead bodies? I know that my brother is a murderer. I don't want to get him in trouble, but also he's killing people. And also now I'm implemented in it because I have helped hide a skull in our garage. So that's the dream. It was very disturbing.
Wow.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I understand that that took a lot of strength. It's very disturbing to recall emotionally charged dreams.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question before we move on? Could you describe your relationship with your brother?
So my brother is almost 2 years younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
He is a very math, sciencey, engineering kind of person. But we're very different, but very close. Definitely the kind of relationship where when we were younger, we would fight, but then over the years, we became closer and closer. And yeah, so we're close now, but definitely don't see eye to eye on everything. But in a sibling way, not in a fundamental human differences where this creates a problem kind of way.
Wow.
Has your brother ever done something that you had to hide from your mother? Something that just comes to mind. Of course, there are sibling things when you're children, but anything that sticks out to you.
I would say probably run-of-the-mill teenager stuff that our mother might not want to know that he confides in me, but not in a this is super illegal and terrible kind of way, just in this is a normal teenager thing, but maybe don't share that with mom.
Yeah, buying drinks underage or doing jankin, their usual, yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to implement my brother in a crime here, but I'd say you're probably on the right track.
Mm-hmm. And has your brother ever committed any crimes? You can just let yes or no this. There's no way we can come after
not
you.
Violent crimes. No violent crimes.
No violent crimes. Anything beyond something that would fall under the category of teenager breaking curfew, those sorts of things. Okay.
No, fine.
And how old is your brother? He's 2 years younger than you, but how old is that?
He's 20.
20. Excellent. And he's in college, correct?
Yes.
But home now, obviously.
But home now because the world is falling apart. You know, that kind of thing.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That is actually where I would like to start. I have noticed doing Dream Police and in my work as a Dream PI that more and more people are having dreams about family members. And usually when that happens, usually it's because something close to the heart is happening in your life, which generally right now is, you know what?
Yeah.
And so that kind of gets our immediate family and stuff in our brains. And especially the dying part means usually metaphorically it's dealing with death or with loss. With loss of it doesn't have to be a person, but it could be a loss of social
former self.
Could be a loss of part of yourself or a loss something in that realm. Not trying it all so far.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said before, the world is falling apart, and so my life is also, not doing great.
Yes, and I can tell that you're very, very close with your brother because in your dream, even though he is allegedly murdered people, you still
murder is subjective.
Yeah, it was a dream.
I'd say creating art.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Because you would do anything to support your brother and hide him at whatever cost. Even if it's through a big loss or a big mourning like you're doing right now. So you might feel a little bit maternal or protective of him during this time, especially since you're so close.
That's also a big part of our relationship in general, because I have two younger siblings, and even though I'm only a little older than them, I definitely
you've been mom your whole life,
their annoyance. I've very much taken on my whole life and very much on a role with them.
Well, and
like a cool mom way.
yeah. Annika, do you ever feel like you have to protect either of them in the real world at all?
Yikes. Yeah. Yes, exactly that. Very often that. Most of the time that.
So that would probably lead to the paper mache around the dead bodies.
Enthusiastic, yes.
How has your relationship changed since being in quarantine together? I expect you spent time apart when you went to college and then when they went to college.
Yeah, but I think it's more been like reiteration of a lot of things, if that makes sense. Like, it's not like I learned anything new particularly, because it's a time of heightened senses and heightened sense of loss and confusion and all of that stuff. I think it's been, I've been spending more time together, but also it's been sort of the volume turned up to 11 on emotions and things we've shared with each other. And it's been nothing new per se, but maybe a more amplified version of what already existed.
Can I share with you a poem?
Yes, please.
This is a poem that has helped me a lot. It's by Emmy Kerr, and it's from a book that I don't remember, but it's about being a gay teenager. The poem is Paint Over It. Paint over it will never look like new again, will never get you through again. But you can still get use from it. You can just get used to it. Paint over it. And that, the plaster going over people is really what brought that to mind. How you are watching your brother grow. This relationship that you've had, watching him grow, watching him become the person that he is now heightened up to 11, and you are able to see more clearly how the experiences of the past, the things that you covered up for him, those things that you two shared that were secret, you're seeing how those things are transforming himself and part of his journey towards finding his sense of self. And that perhaps you're observing him coming together from an outside perspective. You've been watching him. You're not his mother, but you're his sister. And I think that you're fascinated by his process of creation and perhaps feeling worried or guilty, this general anxiety. Do you feel guilty about any of the things that you sort of hid from your mother? Are there any areas of concern that you have about your brother's development?
I don't think I feel guilty about like hidden things necessarily, but I think that no matter what I would do, I will always feel like I could protect them better or make them happier or do better for them. And even if it's completely irrational, because I know that I can't change the world and open school back up and open the world back up, it just feels like because I love them so much, I'm letting them down by seeing them upset, even though logically I know that specifically in this instance, there's truly nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Be there and listen to them and those types of things.
It's helplessness.
And
yeah, absolutely.
That's also made evident too when you were talking later in your dream to your brother about the DNA items like hair and stuff in the paper mache, or plaster is very much like you, yourself, your family,
the parts of you that are in what he did and how he is becoming himself.
Yeah, or just, and the protection too, the protection of the outside world, or the harsh realities as death is also like portrayed in dreams. And that paper mache is just like love and care, and it seems like you're very family focused right now, that which makes sense because you're home with your family during these trying times. Yeah,
no, that all makes a lot of sense.
I will say, if this isn't already a Hollywood horror movie plot, this dream, it's only a matter of time before a dream criminal from Hollywood swoops in there and helps himself, probably a he.
Well, I was going to ask if you had ever seen the movie House of Wax.
Oh, there's already one.
I truly hate horror movies because I don't like being scared, and my thought process is I
Weird.
can there's so many scary things in the world that already cause me anxiety. So I know for some people it's like cathartic to see scary
Right.
things in a controlled environment, and that's why they like horror. For me, it's just scary, and I'm like, there's already so much to deal with. I don't need to also deal with that in my media. So if you name any horror movie except maybe like Insidious, which I saw in like 7th grade with some friends, I truly will not have seen it.
That's fair. It's a similar concept. People becoming statues or being made into statues. I'm curious, when you found out about your brother's crimes, were you concerned for him, or were you concerned at the horror of what he had done?
Immediately, I was definitely concerned for him, which is why I agreed to like help, because immediately my thought was, oh, why? Like, I realized it was a horrible thing that he had done, but I was worried that it was a horrible thing that he had done. Like
that he would be in trouble and he would have the consequences of whatever happened.
And then later, when I was reflecting about it and thought about like, what have I gotten myself into? Then I was like, oh my God, people have died. What is happening?
You feel like in the past you have had a sense of control over the development of the people that you love dearly to live their happiest, fullest lives. And this is a horror that you cannot protect them from. You have no control over the situation. You're trying your hardest not to overstress your caretakers, your mother, and you're trying hard to protect the sanctity of your relationship with your brother as the big sister, as the person who protects him. But I think that this dream is ultimately one about you and your dedication and your love for your brother, how that is a constant. And two, how out of control you feel right now, and how afraid for them you feel, and how they are integrating the things that are happening. They might be creating beautiful art right now. They might seem fine, but you're worried about what lies underneath because ultimately you have no control over that.
I think also just as we've been getting older, it's also been more of a less sense of control as we've been physically moving apart, but also just when you're older, it's not like you can't be there for your siblings, but there's less like, it used to be protecting them was making sure they didn't run into traffic. Like I can distinctly make someone not run into traffic.
Very
that
tangible,
yes, I can do that by physically holding someone. And for my sister, it truly for many, many years was required because her head was in the cloud. But now the trials that are facing people are more trials that I am also currently facing, and I don't know how to fix. And so I also can't help my siblings fix that.
I really think truly, Annika, that, listen, there are a few directors like
Rob Zombie.
Yes, well, they're notorious for stealing crimes, but ultimately I would ward off, I think it's easily ward offable for you in this case. Honestly, the love of your siblings, and as long as you stay strong together, and face this together, especially now that they're getting older and you don't have to be so much their parent anymore. You can be more of a friend, and like a really close sister to them, which is so beautiful how those roles can transform over time in families. But I think if you guys stick together and, help each other and mourn through this process together, that there's nothing.
Fight off all the evil dreams.
There's nothing Rob Zombie can steal from you anymore.
Annika, would you like a rune reading?
Sure, I would love one.
Let's read those runes, baby.
And this is an extra sacred rune reading because it is happening on top of Dreamcat.
Yes.
Wow. Anything that is a top Dreamcat, of course, is
so
excessively blessed. He is quite a chonker. That is literally what the aide at the veterinary office said.
Really?
With some chonkers like him, you can see certain things.
Oh, that's a big cat.
All right.
I feel very lucky. I'm very blessed.
Yeah, this is extra blessed.
Oh my. Okay, so typically I do a 3 rune pull. representing past, present, and future, beginning, middle, and end. But there was a rune that just would not leave my hand today. And so it's joining the rune reading, and we'll see
Wow.
what happens there. Yes. All right. Interesting. The first rune that I pulled is Soelo, the sun. This represents luck, vital energy, some other very specific things in this book that Dreamcat made it hard for me to grab. in my
Vamp. Cheers.
success and goals achieved, honor, and the power available to you for good changes in your life. This is contact between your unconscious self and your conscious self. So this is where things start. A lot of energy. You have great reserves of resilient energy within you, regardless of whatever situation you're in. Which, makes sense, given that the next rune is Gaibo, gifts. Both in the sense of self-sacrifice and generosity. Everything is in balance. All matters and related to exchanges, personal relationships, and partnerships. I think you have been giving this gift to your brothers of yourself, this sacrifice of your own consciousness about where you're going, what you're doing walking down the street, and instead sacrifice that attention to, is my sister running into traffic? Which, important stuff. We can't have sisters running into traffic all the time. I mean, it'd be chaos.
She's
Be fun.
still alive, and that is an accomplishment.
This is what's interesting, and this is why I think I got a fourth rune for you after reading that you've been self-sacrificing, but that your relationships are balanced and this deep reserve of success. Isa, a challenge or frustration. And I've been pulling this rune a lot for obvious reasons, because it represents blocks to thought or activity, a standstill, or time to turn inward and wait for what is to come. But it reinforces all of the runes around it. So not only does it say, hey, we are in a time of standstill, a time to look inward where we cannot move. Sometimes it's even psychological blocks. Even though it's saying that, it's also saying you have good relationships and you have a reserve of success and strength. This last rune that I pulled is Manas. This is your lucky rune. This is the fourth rune. Oh, yes. The self, the individual, your attitude towards others and their attitudes towards you. Social order, fourth